Hi, this is Russell from Mine Multimedia. This video is going to be about GoPro mounts, how to use them, tips and tricks. It's for new users as well as existing users. We will go over all the GoPro mounts as well as other mounts that we also sell, and an exclusive eye of mine Rollbar mount that we're going to talk about. So I've got lots to cover, so we'll dive right in. These are called pivot arms. And the point of these is to either extend your mounts so that you can get the camera farther away from the mount, or to rotate it 90 degrees. And the way that happens is every time you insert one of these into a mount, you see that this is pointing this direction and this is now pointing in this direction. So that makes the camera go this way. So if I take this off and just use this one, you see the camera's going this way. So unfortunately you can't have an extension and keep it in the same direction. Whenever you make an extension, it turns it 90 degrees. So if you want to keep it in the same direction, you've got to add two more than what you already had. And then these will go on to what's called a quick release. And so here's a quick release, and then here's your pivoting arms. And from this, obviously I'm missing my bolts. You put your bolts in here. And from this you can rotate and pivot and do all kinds of great angles that you want. And then these quick releases go into these double stick base plates, and there are two types. There's slightly curved and then there's flat, and you see the double stick on the bottom. You can tell the difference from the top, which one's curved and which one's flat. The flat one is rounded around the edges, and then the curved one is squared. So that's how you can tell from the top which is which without having to, because it's very, very, very subtle. And the double stick, it's probably best if you're going to use this in an extreme environment, lots of vibration or very cold or very hot, that you let it sit 24 hours and let the double stick cure. It's very, very sticky. Once it's on, it almost doesn't want to come off, whatever you're putting it on. So if you're putting on a helmet, make sure that there's no wax. And maybe there's a clear coat if you've got it painted with flames or something, because you don't want this double stick taking your paint off. So there are actually two different types of quick releases. This is the standard one, very flat, and you can only do so much movement with this base plate. You can only go so far. This curly Q one will allow you to do stuff like this. So if you want to go vertical, and I will bring my helmet out and you can see what I'm talking about. I have one on the side of my helmet here, and you can see that by having this curly Q come out, it allows me to get space in between the helmet and the camera, and I can do it the angle that I want. Wouldn't be able to do that with the standard quick release. Now there is something new that's been released since the GoPro HD Hero, and a lot of people think it's a nose plug. You could probably use it as that, but it's really not an anti-snoring device. It's used to fix a problem that I've only seen recently, and that's because for some reason some of these new ones have play in between when you put the quick release into the base plate. And then so that when you're on a motorcycle or something with vibration, you're going to hear that. So by putting the orange Doohicky in here, you no longer get that noise. And so that's what that's for. It doesn't come with all the kits, but if you have one and you're having that vibration problem, that's what that's used for. If you already have a quick release but you don't have the orange Doohicky, there is a way you can get rid of the noise, and that is you can put two pieces of tape, in this case I'm using electrical tape, on the left and the right side of that center channel, not putting it on the center channel, and that should get rid of the vibration completely. And while I'm talking about it, while I'm using this is the display thing that comes with the camera. The camera attaches here when you buy it. Don't throw it away, it's perfectly usable. You could tape this to a desktop or something like that, so it's usable. Unfortunately, this does not come off. It's part of the base plate, but that's an option. Now I want to talk about the nuts and the bolts themselves. All the GoPro mounts use the same number 10 24 thread bolt. 24 thread is a little hard to find in hardware stores, so just be aware. Guard these things with your life. I've been to many hardware stores, and even though they sell these, it's thicker than this, and it won't. If you buy them, they won't go in here. So, and I don't know that you can get these by themselves from GoPro. So make sure you don't lose those, because as soon as you take the bolt out, these things can fall out. It depends on the mount you have it in, but this one's pretty tight, but the other ones are really loose. So whenever you have a mount, a set of a screw and a nut by itself, just tighten them up so this thing doesn't fall off. Existing users are going to tell you that the most frustrating thing about GoPro mounts are these things, are the bolts. They are not glued in, and they're just little notches in here that hold them in. But the problem is, as soon as you get them into a tight circumstance, the bolt wants to push out this side, and you're going to find yourself doing this, trying to get this in here. And so the best thing to do is to glue it. Probably epoxy would be the best. I used Monster glue, and I think it was a mistake because it expands, and you got to cut it off, and it turns white. So I think a few drops of epoxy would be the best way to go. One thing that I do in order to make things quicker when I'm on location is I put a little white, I use just white out, and put a little white strip along the long thumb screw, because when you're in a hurry, it's hard to tell the difference between this one and this one. So if you can easily distinguish with some sort of a designation. Now, something to watch out for is when you're attaching a thumb screw to the bottom of a camera. This is the standard Hero. The long one goes underneath the camera. You see it sticks out, and you have room for your fingers to turn it. When you try to use the short one, it will go in and it will turn, but it's very hard to get your hand in there. And you're going to think to yourself, I don't remember having this hard of a time getting this in. That's because you're using the short one. However, with the new high def, it's not even possible to put the small one in. Here's the long one. It just fits in there, and if you get the short one in here, it won't even turn, because the case is a little bit taller right in the back, and that's important. So make sure you've got enough of these long ones lying around, because they're the only ones that work with the high def when it's actually below the camera. Now I'm going to talk about the wrist Hero. This is the exception to all of the GoPro mounts. It has a special underwater housing that has a different connection on the bottom, and that connects up to the wrist strap. This is the head mount, which literally goes on your head. It's got really nice soft rubber material in here, so it wouldn't scratch your skin. And it's fully adjustable. You can see these go way back, and these go up. And the camera goes in here, and it can swivel. So all of these mounts that I'm showing you are all available a la carte. You can get them on their own. They're not only in kits. And the other helmet strap that's available is this one. This is designed for helmets that have the open slits like a bicycle helmet. And it literally just slides in, but you put your straps in through here. This comes up, this comes down, and your quick release goes right in here. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is that quick releases, they go both ways. If you go in this way, and if you want to shoot towards the back, it goes that way. That's true for any of the double sticks. They go. There is no direction, which is great because you can shoot both directions. And here's an example of a double stick in action. I was able to find a place on this helmet that had a flat enough area that I could double stick and put the camera, the quick release right on here. Now, if this moves around, I doubt it. You're probably not going to be in an environment that's bumpy, because your head itself is going to absorb a lot of the impact. But you can just tape each side, and then that'll keep it in place.